Okay, so texting and driving, we're all, responsible. We've all checked our phones, our Snapchats, or whatever when we're driving, And everybody's responsible and has done it once, but we don't see sometimes we're too naive to see the consequences that come from it. And unfortunately, according to the National Highway Safety Administration, 60% of car accidents in all of the United States are caused from drivers who are texting and driving. And out of that 60%, 13% tragically they turned out into deaths. So today I'm gonna try to persuade you to maybe think twice about taking your phone out and responding to that text message or Snapchat next time you're driving. And I'm gonna do so by explaining how texting and driving is bad, how it disables you to do certain things while you're driving, and I'm also going to share a personal story that made me become an advocate to absolutely ban texting and driving nationwide. And so my first point. Many of us know that it's a bad thing to text and drive, but we still do it because we're naive. And but we don't realize that when we look down at our phone for a certain amount of time, we can drive for 5 to 10 feet and not realize that a car has jumped in front of us, or maybe someone's crossing when they're not supposed to be crossing. And then by the time that we look up to react, we've either hit the car or that person. And many advocates to ban texting and driving have created gruesome commercials, videos, and pictures to try and manipulate the minds of people who text and drive. But unfortunately, those still don't work, and people still continue to text and drive. And we are still continuing to see many accidents caused by people who text and drive. My second point, according to the University of North Texas, in the years between 2002 and 2007, 16,141 deaths were caused by texting and driving. And in that same range, 11% in 2007, 11% of those accidents were caused by texting and driving, and in 2002, in 2002, 11% of those accidents were caused by texting and driving, and in 2007, that number increased to 16%. And that goes on to show that by the time that our technology continues to advance, more people are more likely to text and drive. And to prove that, the DMV made a research, and they found out that in 1999, a third of the United States Americans they own a cell phone, and by 2007, 91% of us own a cell phone. And so that goes on to show that the more cell phones we have around, the more likely someone is to be tempted to look at their phone and respond to a text. Also, Virginia Tech, they made a research with AAA Insurance, and they conducted a survey where 250 those people admitted that texting and driving is dangerous, and it is a bad habit that many of us have. But either way, 21% of those people who voted and who admitted that it's dangerous admitted to actually doing it recently, prior to that survey. And also, Car and Driver magazine, they conducted an assignment where they had somebody drive a car in an abandoned airport, and what they had him do was try to text and drive at the same time, and the passenger, while they were doing that, they had control of a light that was at the same range as the driver's eye level. So what they were trying to figure out was the reaction time, and the reaction time when they weren't texting and driving was 0.51 seconds, and when they were texting and driving, it nearly tripled to 1 second, to a full second and 0.41 milliseconds. And that goes on to show again that texting and driving, taking your eyes off the road is something dangerous, and most people do that by texting and driving. And my last point, from my personal experience, last summer, I was riding my motorcycle on Harbor and Lambert. I was going to Wingstop to grab some wings, and some guy, I stopped at the intersection, and I was just, I put my feet down. I was, I didn't have anything. I was just relaxing, and I just feel a car just rear-end me, and I landed on his hood of his car, and I didn't know what happened, and I got up, and then the guy, he attacked me. He said that I cut him off, but I was like, okay, Uber at a red light, and then so when the cops came, I explained everything. I had luckily I have a camera, so when I rode past him, because I did cut him off, but it wasn't like, in a bad way. It's called lane splitting. Lane splitting in California is legal, so so I rode past him, and when I rode past him, I turned, and then my camera caught him like looking down at his phone. He was like this, and so he was looking down at his phone. So that's the reason why he hit me. And but luckily, I mean, I had no major major injuries, and the only bad thing that happened was, my motorcycle got banged up, but luckily with insurance, it got fixed up. But that before that, I was guilty of texting and driving because, as any young adult, that's addicted to their phone, I always check Snapchat, Instagram, I always change the song, I always check my messages. But when that day came, I realized that it's very important to pay attention when you're driving, and it's very, we should be more liable and conscious about other people on the road, and realize that it's not just us, and we should be more cautious with others to avoid accidents like that. So with this, I hope that we can see the dangers of texting and driving, and hopefully we can all, stop doing that, because it's dangerous and it can kill somebody. I could admit so.
So Jason's not here, so I'll just offer my comments. We know what the topic is pretty directly. That's not a big surprise. I think the statistical information that you have at the beginning from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is useful. The number of accidents and the percentage that result in death, that seems like it's a pretty startling information and ought to draw our attention to this subject. Your goal is clearly stated. There's a little bit of a preview about how you're going to develop this. It's not too complex, just a couple of simple ideas that you're going to go to. The second one is your personal story, and when we get to that, I think we'll have a couple of comments here, but I think it works pretty well. I thought it was a little bit strange how you suggest, that there are a whole bunch of people out there who are opposed to this, who are out there manipulating others by putting together these videos or commercials. And I'm going, okay, manipulating people? These are your allies and you're describing them using this negative terminology. That seems a little bit awkward. So the language issue there is a bit problematic. I did think that you had good references to research that you presented. You had the North Texas State University information. You had another study that you referred to there. That was fine. I did think some of the information in the middle of the speech felt a little bit old. I mean, I know that the growth in cell phones between 99 and 2007 was pretty substantial. That's not a big deal, but some of the information that you had never got past 2007, and that's more than a decade ago. So we could probably use some more information that's contemporary about the penetration levels on this. And for instance, we do know for the most part that this is against the law across the country. So, how many tickets are being written? What kinds of fines are being paid? What do police officers see happening on the road? Do they bother to enforce these laws? I think there's a lot more information that you could get into here, talking about why this, even though we know it's a problem, even though it's against the law, it continues to exist, and you need to motivate us a little bit more. The problem is that your solution is pretty much the same thing that at the beginning of the speech that we were aware of. We shouldn't be doing this. So at the end of the speech, we shouldn't be doing this. And there's not much that you've done to kind of help us get past our own addictions or our desire to do that kind of thing. How do we resist the impulse to check on Snapchat or to look at that text message that comes in when we're driving on the freeway or we're cruising down the highway or the road and suddenly we get one of those notifications? There might be some things you could do if you're in your car, for instance, maybe turning your phone off or turning the notifications off while you're in the car, or putting the phone in the glove compartment or in the back seat, something like that, so you're not tempted to do those kinds of things. Or using technology so that you are less likely to take your eyes off the road if you had it, like a Bluetooth connection, and you could respond, something like that. There are a lot of ways that you can maybe do some of those things. I think you need to build that up a little bit more. The presentation, your voice is very effective. I think you're doing a pretty good job there. Your eye contact is really inconsistent. Sometimes you look up at us, but anytime you get thinking about an idea, you're looking off to the side or down at the ground or up and around, and it's not like you are avoiding us, because it doesn't seem like you're avoiding us, because you do look at us, but your natural inclination is to look away from the audience when you're thinking instead of looking at us while you're thinking, and you're thinking a lot because you're trying to remember all the things that you're going to say, so that makes it a little more complicated. Part of that problem is, I think, the fact that you're not relying on notes here, and if you were looking at notes and having to look up and down from the notes, you'd probably do that a little bit less, but so it's a slightly different problem that we're dealing with here. All right, thank you.